Hello, it's Kim Drucker-Stockwell with Women's Survival Guide, and here with my Maven of the Week, month, year, Cindy Sullivan, who is an exercise guru with a 58,000 follower on Instagram number. And but I've actually known her, our daughters went to nursery school together. What's interesting is that Cindy, this is also is a pivot in her life because she started out in corporate communications and then got into fitness, in particular with helping midlife and older adults maintain their muscle mass, their balance, etc. So, and we have lots to talk about in that area. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Cindy, and you can tell people about what you do.
Oh, well, thank you, Kim.
Yeah,
And thank you for having me. It's like kind of fun to reconnect after all
it
these years.
is. It
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and quite a journey it's been from where we first met. Our daughters are now, well, at least this daughter of yours, because I know
Yeah.
I just have Holly. She's 21 now. So we met
That's what
when
Annie is now too. Yep.
3 or 4 years old at Beacon Hill Nursery School. So that's so crazy to think about. But yeah, no, I've been living in the area in Boston for all these years and have really pivoted in what I have done and where I am now. So I'm happy to share, whatever you'd like to dive into.
Well, I think so. It's interesting to meet a an exercise person that is really focusing on, and especially when you started this, which when did you start doing
Yeah,
what you?
yeah. Just to give you a little background, I
Yeah.
mean, I did, I'm from Massachusetts. I went to school here, graduated, thought I was going to be in the business world for my life. I
You.
moved to Chicago when I was about 22 years old, I think.
Hmm.
So I did leave the city and lived in downtown Chicago. I worked for JP Morgan and the FDIC, a bunch of big out there, whatever that means. But
Yeah.
I came back to Boston in my late 20s, almost 30, and
Hmm.
I was still doing PR, corporate communications, like you said. I went into different directions there. But I really always knew deep down that that wasn't my passion or desire.
Hmm.
Um, but I've always been that type of person. Like, I like want to hit these goals or hit these milestones or
Right.
whatever we believe they're supposed to be.
Hmm.
Get married, have children, have a great job, whatever that is. Like, I don't know where it comes from, society placed on us, whatever it was. I had
Same.
yeah, so I basically did that and came back. Um, it's a little bit of an aside, and we can go back into this, but I had a lot of challenges having my daughter,
Hmm.
so that changed my perspective a little bit. I think that
Yeah.
was the beginning of it in my early 30s.
Yep.
Um, I was never able to have another child, and that was also something that played into a lot of things, like kept me exhausted, kept me working full time and having a nanny. I didn't, I mean, it's not like I didn't want to stay home with my daughter,
Yeah.
but it was just at that time, that's what happened.
Hmm.
But as she got a little older, and it was almost around the time I met you, my daughter was in nursery school, and I was starting to question that. So it was now like mid 30s, didn't have another child, didn't know what was gonna, it was like, all right, what's next kind of
Yeah.
thing. And
Another pivot moment.
yeah, I basically started, I had always been in health and fitness, interested in it. And with a runner, I always belonged to gyms, like
Hmm.
not in my 20s, but in my 30s. I was
Yeah.
a big goer. And, everyone kept saying, oh, you should teach this, you should teach this, or you should try it. And I had that little like, oh, interest in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't become, I basically like it's a bigger conversation, but I didn't become a fitness instructor until I turned 40. So it
Yeah.
was leading up to that
Yeah.
40, big number. And
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to take this leap, I started teaching more and more, but yes, I ended up getting into fitness when I was 40, and now I'm turning 55. Well, when this airs, I'll actually be 55 because
Yay.
been doing it for 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to like share how that
Well,
happened.
it's
Yeah.
interesting, like, because and then shifting even again to when the non-online version of this stuff is word of mouth. And when you started this, it was the internet machine wasn't really that much of a thing. Like moms were still not staring at their phones at the playgrounds, and we were all actually interacting more, and to hear of you would have been word of mouth. Then flash forward, I don't know what, 10 years from maybe like 5 to 8 years ago when Instagram, I guess it would have been more than 5 years ago, but I mean, you have 60,000 followers on
No,
Instagram.
that's crazy. I
I
don't
mean,
even
it's just about.
like,
And I wish I'd paid more attention the last time I looked, because it is wild how these things like really grow and grow. And I mean, it's doubled since when I first started talking to you.
yeah.
So, I think there are two things I'd love to talk, well, three things. One is we know that you started this and we know it was an interest, and there was a pivot at 40. But then there was this change, I think probably around COVID when you started Zooming
Yeah.
and doing this. So there's that I want to talk to you about, because the the purpose of these videos and podcasts is not just to interview people and what they do, to give women ideas who are a little bit like in the now what phase of life. So, like if you have a yearning, it's worth looking into it and then figuring out how to make it happen. So, figuring out how you made things happen, what you did, and then on the flip side, what you do, and how that also is something that's incredibly beneficial to the 50 and over population. So, let's talk first about you had this explosive growth, I think, during COVID because you couldn't go teach classes. So, tell me about that.
Yes. So, I mean, at 40, when I did make that switch,
Uh-huh.
it definitely was challenging, to become a fitness instructor and then to become a personal trainer at 40 years old. I'm not looking like the 20 and 30-year-olds, whatever,
Yes,
but
you are.
finding, it actually benefited me. And
Mhm.
happened was I ended up teaching or subbing a class for a woman who was a little bit older, like in her late 60s. So
Mhm.
inspiring, but she was teaching an all age group. But she
Yeah.
also taught a lot of these 50 and over groups. And they just do that really to make it less intimidating for
Yeah.
people. Just
Yeah.
like, but they're really all ages. I mean, fitness is fitness. Like we're
Yeah.
all at different levels. So
Right. Right.
should never ever look at that as something to either go or not go on age. But I think that's just a way we have to figure out how to do it. So I ended up doing that, and I loved it. And what happened for me is I think that passion or desire just show like kind of was showing, and I was just so excited to like
Yeah.
get in front of as many people as I could. And then people started asking me to train them privately. So
Okay.
always driven by others where the direction of how I took this. But I did teach, I was teaching around Boston, and that's how I started getting into training. What I realized is, and this is important, I think, for most people, is we as women, I think a lot of times we feel intimidated, or we might have that imposter syndrome, or like whether it's
Yeah.
fitness or life or whatever it is. And like I was I was able to kind of connect with people because of my age. I was a little bit older. And then also because I was kind of going into people's homes. So I made it more like a comfortable environment
Yeah.
for them to do it one-on-one and not going to the gym. And there's a huge need. There's not a lot there for it. So that's kind of how that took off. Then fast forward, I just continually
Yeah.
grew teaching, meeting more people, and it was
Mhm.
all word of mouth, like you said. I
Yeah.
really didn't market
Right.
ever. Like I mean, I got fortunate. I got on Instagram because it was a fun outlet for me.
Right.
Like I always enjoyed connecting with people. And
Mhm.
I felt like, you know, I am by myself. I own my company, and before COVID, I did grow it to have like 5 trainers who worked
Yeah,
for
I
me.
remember you said that. Yeah.
Um, and that's kind of how we did the one-on-one. And I had that business model. I was able to grow it that way. When COVID hit, everything changed, going into people's homes or going into these classes.
Right.
So that's how I started, like, just kind of getting a little more online then and
Mhm.
teaching to a computer. So you see yourself, like we're
Yeah.
seeing ourselves right now. So you just kind of get better at that. And it actually makes you become a instructor because you could.
Hmm.
I loved being able to see everyone in person. So I had all that behind me,
Yeah.
knowing what the cues were and what people needed to do. And then getting online made it easier. But I will say, the whole social media thing, it was like a love hate, and it still
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
only because, you have to be a strong person to be on there to take the criticism. People definitely like to just throw things out, whatever, and it doesn't phase them, but there is a person behind what you're writing. So
I
there's a
mean,
lot.
especially like fitness, like you're already in a bit of a vulnerable position because it's your body you're using and trying to help others. So that
Yeah.
is the thing about I mean, knock on wood, I think I have like 400 followers, but when you're into the numbers you are, obviously you get the wackadoos who
Yeah.
feel who like seem troll around and say gnarly things, and that's just a bit of the um fallout from being popular.
Well,
Um,
I always come back to a couple things. Like for you, like however many followers you have, it's like someone said this to me and I've heard it a million times now, but like think about if you say you have 400 people in a room, like to
right.
get people
Yeah.
in to talk to, or
Right.
like 6,000 people, you're like it at like Leader Bank Pavilion or so. I always
Right.
think like, people are always like, oh, I only have like 5,000 followers or
I
this or
mean,
yeah.
to me, but I also, for me, Instagram has been very, very secondary for Women's Survival Guide. But a friend of mine lately, and this is like a pivot moment, sort of, is like, look, let's be honest, none of us have the focus to really read what you're writing. Like you're better on camera, you're good, you're funny, like you should be doing clips on Instagram, which is what she does, and they're very successful and she has tens of thousands of followers. And I'm like, so this is going to circle back into you. So I am going to try it. I am going to not, I mean, I'm not going to stop writing, but I am going to try and utilize it a bit more. I like the idea of the part that I kind of ignored is the community aspect on Instagram. I don't want to be on my phone anymore. And you do have to, when people are communicating with you, obviously you have to like respond. And right now I can respond on email, which feels a little less social media. Um, but there is this building a community through Instagram, and then what do you do? Like, so what's my point of that? Well, so my point of building a huge community like that would be the support that, and it would be 99% women, um, the support of midlife women experiencing things together, and sort of the ability to, that's why I interview women like you, is to sort of show like, oh, here's what one woman is doing, whether you're interested in exactly what she's doing or the fact that she motivated to do it. When you get this huge community, then what? Like
Yeah.
you've got this enormous following and you could be doing, so I guess monetizing it, you could do Zoom classes that, people had to pay to do, which I actually do a yoga class that way that's up in New Hampshire, and I love this teacher. It's $20 and I definitely do it. So, but the downside is you've got to maintain this group, whether it's the baddies or the people that are actually asking real questions, et cetera, et cetera. And 60,000 people is a lot of freaking people. So,
Yeah.
how do you feel about that?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot there to unpack, but
Yeah,
I
that's sorry, it's a long-winded way of asking that question.
say, like it's the other thing. Social media is for you, like you're doing it for you if you're going to do it. I mean, I like at the beginning, I would always like really feel like it was cringe what I was putting out there. And I was always like, oh, who's judging me today? I really struggled with that early on. I
Mm,
think the older we get too, we care less about that. And
love
like,
that.
yes, I mean that's like the takeaway for us
Yeah.
all. It's easy to say, it's harder in reality and practice. And
Yeah.
getting through this, I think, has actually helped me on the social media aspect because now I'm like, when people are writing those things, for the most part, it's because they're struggling. There's something going on.
Yeah.
If I'm a trigger for someone because the way I look or what I do, there's something else there.
Yeah.
It's usually very rarely about me.
Yeah.
But the positives are overwhelming for me and the
That's wonderful.
connections and the people. I mean, I've gotten videos, letters, texts daily. I get DMs, people like thanking me or asking me a question, or, like my mom has really struggled with this, or
Right.
like, or, someone in their 40s. Again, I talk a lot about age only because I don't want to make it intimidating for people. And I want
Yeah.
everyone to know that it doesn't matter how old you are, the size you are, if you've ever worked out, you didn't. Like just kind of moving your body more and just
Mhm.
trying to like do something to make
Yeah.
yourself feel better, whatever that is. And like
Yeah.
the barrier to entry is so low. Like my videos or my social media is all about making sure people know you can sneak it in throughout your day. You don't need a whole hour to
Love
exercise,
that.
all of that stuff. And the
Yeah.
only reason that I'm even out there sharing it is because I see it
Yes.
single day. Like I really do. And I'm super passionate about letting people understand like it doesn't take that much. I
Right.
mean, there's an overwhelming amount of information out there right now. It's like what we do. And a lot of times when that happens, we just completely shut down and do
Too much.
nothing. Yes. I mean, I definitely struggle with that as well. And especially with social media, when it gets too much, what I've learned to do is just like shut it off or put my phone in the other way. I
Yeah.
also don't post, like some people have all these different strategies. That is not my main thing. I really do it for fun. And
Yeah.
now a little more marketing for me just to kind of encourage people to get on my classes because
So
the
you
class,
already do that. You do
yeah.
that already. So like you have people.
So I teach a class called Ever Strong that I basically designed over these
Yeah.
years.
There's Everstrong. Yep.
Yeah, Ever Strong is a class. It's a total body. Like I do a little bit of everything. So strength has become so important for us in midlife and beyond. I mean, it's
Yep.
what everyone's talking about. Um,
Hmm.
but I've been doing this forever. This
Right.
is my workout that I've been doing forever. It's
Love
my
it.
workout at 55, 54. But I also have 40-year-olds in there and I have
Mhm.
80-year-olds in there. So it's all about modifying for you.
Yeah.
So it's like I teach that Everstrong class. I throw in balance, throw everything. I throw out
Yeah.
posture because balance is something you're going to need. I don't care how old you are. And
Yeah.
posture affects balance, affects mobility, affects everything. So I'm always sneaking in all these moves for that. And then, I keep a little bit of endurance, but I mostly have my clients and people do all their stamina and endurance and walking and running or whatever they're doing on their own. And then this class is a little more about that strength, mobility, balance, flexibility. But I teach those. I teach privates. I do the
Mhm.
one on Zoom and in person. But the social media part, to get back to that, it's also like for me, it's another connection to other trainers and other fitness people, podcasters. I mean, Kim, you would do really well out there. And it's not about these like not necessarily like, yeah, it's fun to dance and whatever in your kitchen.
Yeah.
Always comes back to that message and what you're trying to share. So,
Hmm.
it's like the social media stuff, our our brains can only handle so much. But like sometimes people will save it and go back to your bigger article or go back to your
Yeah.
where you're leading them to, your newsletter, whatever that is. So it's really just a spot to like connect, like you said, build a community
Mhm.
and support one another. Instagram is much nicer than Facebook, by the way.
And
I
I'm
just
like, that's amazing.
Facebook by mistake, like recently. I didn't, it was just linked, like my Instagram was linked.
Yeah. Yes, mine is too.
Yeah, my Cindy Sullivan fitness page.
Yep.
Like I have a personal Facebook page. I rarely do, probably promote my daughter more than anything. Like
Yeah.
does stuff. But The Facebook, I linked, this is what happened. And this is kind of a fun one for your listeners too.
Yeah.
So I encouraged people in this challenge to do 10 sink squats. So like if you're at your sink, you like
Yeah.
your whole your sink, you push
Yep.
back heels and you kind of do that squatting
Yeah.
you up. I said do 10 in the morning when you
Yeah.
before after you brush your teeth, 10 at night.
Hmm.
That's 100 squats a month. You just did 600 squats a month,
How
just
cool is that?
10 at night. Well, it went crazy. That video got over 4 million views.
Wow.
That's how I ended up getting a lot more followers from that one video. Um,
Yeah.
and then that and Facebook went crazy. And since then, the algorithm somehow just turned me on to more people. And now I'm over like 20,000 on Facebook, but those people are me. Some
Are
people,
they really? So
yeah,
how is,
a lot more men
oh,
and women too, shockingly.
mm.
But judging, just basically writing mean things, mostly about your appearance or things like that, which you gotta just kind of let it go.
It's a little scary when people are like aggressively mean or
Yeah.
whatever. Like I've had a couple like and then one of them I think was just really not well. It was a female. And you're kind of like, okay. But men are I mean the good news about being called Women's Survival Guide is that it kind of like it
Yeah.
checks them at the door in a little bit. But I do have a lot of men readers. And like I surprising and I know some of them like they don't know I know, I guess, but it's like I don't look at who in the beginning, like I used to look and see, because it was only like if you only had 500 followers or a couple 300, you could, you'd really look. Now with like 4,000 or so, I don't look anymore
Yeah.
at who's reading it. But when I used to, they were like, I always thought it was interesting because it's all like female based, whereas yours is workout and you do it's equal billing. And I'm going to take you now over to kind of what you just went through and with your father-in-law.
Oh,
And one of the we were talking about this the other day, and that basically it's never too late to start um, trying to help yourself out of the hole you may have sedentaried yourself into. Balance is huge. I mean, every time you hear of one of our family members passing it stems from a fall somewhere, even a year ago or something. So balance is huge. Bone density, muscle, everything that we women are told all the time that men kind of ignore because they're not hearing that they've got bone loss. They're not hearing, it's not, they don't go through menopause. They don't. So tell me, um, just your own experience with dealing with people who aren't taking care of themselves in this way.
yeah. Well, it's hard. I always hate putting it back on people
Right.
as the way a lot of older adults were brought up,
Hmm.
women. And I find a lot of my like 70 or 80-year-old or even 90-year-old women were
Uh-huh.
really taught or given the opportunity to exercise or work out. I mean, even in
Right.
aerobics, like we were chatting, I was chatting with someone about finding a diary that I wrote I wanted to be an aerobics instructor. I don't know if I ever told you that one.
No,
My mom filed this diary a couple years
you're,
ago.
how old were you?
I was probably like 14, 15. I mean, it was just when,
Just when Joan Fonda
but
or
Denise
Jane
also
Fonda.
my idol. And I used to go to Gloria Stevens with my
Oh,
mom, like when she would go on Saturday mornings, like all,
yes.
but really, like if you think about it, aerobics and all that stuff
Yeah,
started in the 80s. So it's like
did.
generation before us really didn't have a lot of like role models or like what we should be doing. So like I always try to make sure people understand it's not like some people just don't even know. Like it's always shocking to me. Like I go into someone, they don't know what a bicep curl is. It's
Yeah,
like to me, it's very
right.
common and working out forever. But so it's hard. what we have to change is the fact that people need to understand, and I think this is coming out now more than ever, and I'm loving it, is all of this stuff on longevity and how the things you do in your 20s, even 30s, 40s, impact how you are when you're older. Now,
Yep.
that's take away disease or things that are genetic and you can't,
Genetic.
but you do have a lot more control on how you're going to age. And especially, I just shared a bunch of stuff about how you're going to age in your last decades.
Wow. That's
Seven
scary.
75 is a moment in time that like a lot of these longevity specialists are talking about, you
Yeah.
know, lifespan versus health span and how you're actually feeling and living. So it's making sure you're doing the minimum amount to calm
Mhm.
the osteoporosis, and the muscle loss is called that sarcopenia. So all of that stuff is like frailty basically, and the
Yeah.
less you move and the less you strength train,
Right.
the more you're going to fall into that pattern and hold. And those cliches are true. Body
Right.
in motion stays in motion. Movement is medicine. You know, like just by us moving our arms up and down, you're
Makes me
lubricating your.
want to go run around right now.
It is so true. So, I mean, the funny part is, and the message that I always want to share is I can go into somebody's house who is 70 years old and I'm helping one client walk down the hall while I'm training another client to go hike the French Alps.
Yeah.
And that's a true story. Like I have clients who are the same exact age and the
Yeah.
way living really dictates how they're moving in the
Hmm.
world. So, I mean, I don't know. Like the osteoporosis message is huge,
Hmm.
especially women. I think the menopause and women's health stuff is becoming much more mainstream.
God, I was like, is it because this is one of those things, chicken and egg? I'm like, is it me or is it like everywhere now and it never was anywhere? Or is it because I'm this age and I hear it?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it is true. I think more women are hearing it. But I asked my husband this because
Yes.
being on Instagram and the social media stuff, your feeds,
Oh, right. Right.
you
Now
look
we're
at.
gonna get feeds
My
up the wazoo
feed,
about
my feed is all about menopause. And like a little sidebar, I went into early menopause at like 46 because I had a borderline Malarian tumor. I had stage 4 endometriosis. I had a lot of infertility, all that
yeah.
stuff, those kind of issues.
Hmm.
Um, and so I'm not in, I mean, I've been through it. I know
Yeah.
I'm on the other side and I'm being approached daily by companies who are now promoting all this stuff because I've become this like robot.
Oh, awesome.
I
But
asked my husband if he's noticed or seen anything
yeah,
on because I can't get away from it. He
right.
is nothing. I mean, he knows because of me, and I asked him that, but it is fascinating. So it's like there was a video about like, oh, look around your room, look at everything red, and then you come back and you're like, okay, now tell me about all the brown things you saw. It's like what we see or what's in front of us and what we're looking at and
That's a
what we
really weird
yeah.
exercise, but I could see like as far as that would be really
Yeah, so we do see what we
yeah.
need around us, but I
Mhm.
mean, I take that as in a good way because
Yeah.
I think it's like as soon as we start to look into it a little bit, we're hopefully seeing more and more in what's available to us out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all of it for women is there's stuff out there. You don't have to spend $1 million. Like
Right.
that's the best part of like even YouTube. Like YouTube is
Yeah.
a world I am on. I'm not very good at it. I have a channel. I use it more for my private clients because I post videos and I'll share privately in
Okay.
my Everstrong classes. But YouTube is a great resource for a lot of women to get great workouts in and fitness. There's so much free stuff out there to get started.
I use Peloton sometimes, although we have a Peloton machine none of us use, but the monthly account I use for like there's certain yoga instructors I like if I just want to fit something in, or I know my kids are using it for different classes as well. But you're right, there are probably plenty of YouTube classes. The only downside is, and this is one of the things I love about my yoga instructor who does both in class and Zoom at the same time, and she but it's, it's smaller. So if there are 10 to 15 people in her classroom and then there's like six of us online or something, like you can get hurt doing this stuff if you're doing it, improperly. So to be able to, so
Adjust.
sending a 70-year-old to YouTube to do classes, I could see un unwatched would be a bad idea. Because if they're not, like you said, like I just looking at my mother's generation and even my stepmom's generation, like they didn't grow up with the way we did, which was much more sporty. Um, and so doing these classes, like a lot of them just kind of hate it. They don't like to exercise. It's not fun. They don't doesn't do for them what it does for you and for me, which is I feel better, I think better, I look better. And then down the road, it will serve us well if something else doesn't take us out in the meantime.
Yeah.
Um, but speak maybe to what you would recommend to someone who's 60, who's looking to do what you're doing and how to maybe avoid getting hurt in these classes.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to find something that you are gonna do. Like I mean, that's the biggest thing. It's like I know so many people who are like, all right, I want to sign up for your privates and classes, and like everyone's gun ho, and then like all of a sudden it's just like I don't see them week 3 because it's too much too soon. So
Yeah.
again, I think it's just like figuring out how to get started. I have a lot of videos out there to get started.
Yeah.
It's just making sure like you're doing something consistently,
Hmm.
planning a time every day, or knowing you're going to do it in the morning or night, just a general whatever. Um,
Hmm.
you got to start walking. I mean, that's my number one thing. Get out there and walk. If you're not doing anything right now, it's walking. And then the second thing to do would just be pick, 3 upper body, 3 lower body exercises and put it in the calendar and do it or sneak it in throughout the day. I always say like the body weight exercises to sneak in, chair squats, standing and
Yeah.
sitting squats, wall push-ups, or just sink push up, just pushing.
Hmm.
So you don't even need a lot of equipment to
Yeah.
invest in. But just I think if those people you need to find somebody who can really break it down and make sure you're not going into a class that's just like hardcore class right
Yeah.
away. Know that there are modifications. So um, yeah, those are kind of my like beginner
Yeah.
things to get
And
started.
and we talked about actually, as you said that about like going gung ho and then kind of disappearing. We talked about doing this as like a New Year's post. So like if
Yeah.
it does become a New Year's post, you just kind of gave your elevator um idea for getting into it. You just have to start is basically the idea is that
Yeah, like, come January 1st, whatever day this is, just say when you're making your coffee, you're going to go do your 10 squats at the sink. Or if you're making your coffee, you're going to do 5 minutes of stretching. Like during that morning, when you're brushing your teeth, you're going to balance for the entire time on a single leg for, setting your timer for a minute and then try to brush your teeth with your opposite hand or whatever, just
interesting.
those small changes
Yeah,
to kind of sneak some movement in, parking further away. We always hear that
that's a
one, but
good one.
they really work. They
Yeah,
really, really work.
yeah,
Uh, they're out there because they work. A
yeah,
lot of things do.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
just try not to get overwhelmed with it. And especially on the days you don't want to do it,
Mm-hmm.
it's put the sneakers on anyway, walk around with your shoes on. I mean, I tell my other tricks are I always keep, I mean, I personally have them right there, but like,
Yeah. Mine are right in here. I have a kettlebell. Yeah,
yeah, I have them where I can see them. You
yeah.
want to make it the easiest you possibly can for yourself. And I do have my times that I'm going to work out. That doesn't always work out because we're all so busy,
Hmm.
back. I don't want to go too far back, but getting back into like taking care of our kids and our parents. We're kind of
Hmm.
in that generation if we're all
Yeah,
in midlife survival guide mode. I mean, it's just so easy to put ourselves on the back burner. I mean,
and eat. Well, it's
yeah,
like what you were with Cindy recently lost her father-in-law, and that's why I was talking about you were worried about his balance and trying to get him uh,
yeah,
caring about his muscle mass and his balance and stuff like that. But in the meantime, in towards the end, everyone's together, but it's very hard to take yourself away. And like you said, doing these, honestly, I think the best advice would be to look at your Instagram and just pick one because all of your Instagrams are these snippets of an exercise, whether it's little arm weights or like you said, sink push-offs, and you can watch the way Cindy does it and maybe do it in your bathroom where there's a mirror and you can kind of see what you're doing. Like, are you sticking your butt out too far? Are you hunched over? Like all these things that someone can tell you in class, but your Instagram clips sort of will give them that. If they're looking for a way to start and in the middle of this sandwich that we call midlife.
yes. No, I mean, it's interesting because there's so much I would love to share and put out there in the world just because what I see, and
Yeah.
I am not
Like
so,
what?
well, I don't want to sit here and think I know it all or I'm like the best fitness person out there or whatever. It's like I hate coming across as like I think I know everything. That is not what I'm trying to share. It's really what I'm trying to share out there is because I do see people
Yeah.
in their
A
40s
lot of people.
and I do see people in their 80s and 90s. And I
Hmm.
see the ones who are aging successfully
Right.
what they're doing. Like, I'm not kidding. This is
Yeah.
like I've read it before, I've seen it, it's true, but it's moving more. So it's almost like developing this move more mindset. It's not
I
exercise.
just want to run out of the room and go
It's
crazy.
it's like you just can sit for 8 hours a day and be on your computer or reading a book or watching TV.
Yeah.
You can literally sit there. There's
Yeah.
research that says you should move every 45 minutes, making sure 20 minutes is better.
Yeah.
Setting or getting up, doing the standing and sitting or just walking around. It's like the
Yeah.
secondary death syndrome is like they're saying that's equivalent to smoking now, like just sitting too much. And
Oh,
yeah. So it's like the moving more, the nutrition is huge. I mean, and that's going to affect your weight
that's
and all that
interesting
stuff.
too.
Like fitness is so important to move more, good for mental, cognitive health, all that
Mhm.
stuff. The nutrition is even bigger. I don't get into that as much because I'm not a dietitian and
Right.
nutrition. And there's people that I work with and I can refer people to. I mean, I know what I need to know about it and I'm
Right.
not the best at following it, so I don't personally get
Yeah.
in as much. I'm a guide for it, but the other pieces, like besides all that, I mean, is really having community and this connection. There's people who are successfully aging have a group or people around them
Yeah.
that are, have like a connection. And it's
Yeah.
just keeping them mentally focused and moving more and all of it that, but it's purposeful pursuits. Like that's what I said. Having a reason to want to do the movement and
Right.
want to do the eating well and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So it's like, and then like the cognitive and making sure your mental health and all that stuff. So it's like five pieces. It's like the exercise, the health, the fitness, the exercise, fitness, the nutrition piece, the
Hmm.
cognitive, spiritual, mental, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call that. And then the connection, the community, and then the purposeful pursuits. Like those are to me
Yeah.
what I've seen in making this transition and in my business world too. You see what
Yeah.
everybody's in there. And then in this health and fitness world, um, those are the big pieces. And I think we all want that,
Yeah.
and it's making sure we
But
figure
it
out.
does take effort, and it does take getting off your butt. I mean, I'm pretty insular, and it's easy for me to, go to the studio and paint, write my blog, talk to you, but I'm not actually anywhere. Um, I used to play tennis in a group. Then I would do clinics, and now I'm not playing at all. And I know I should go play. I know it would be good for me both mentally and physically. But instead, I've been playing mahjong, which
Which
is
is fun.
yeah, which is fun, and you can't do it by yourself. Well, you can play online, but it's not that great. So I this year started doing that, and it is like a big cliche, but there's several groups that I play with, and it's you can't sit there and chat the way you might be able to in some other pursuit because you actually have to pay attention. But you can chat more than you can if you play bridge. That I don't know how I would I don't think I'd be allowed. I don't think I could stay quiet that long. But I think what you're saying is so right, and the whole concept of you got to go do it, and it's like taking medicine. You just have to go do it, and hopefully at some point it becomes so second nature that it doesn't feel like it's an effort anymore. But I think there is this panic of like, have I gotten my 10,000 steps in? And I'm like, I
Sounds
walk
that.
half that half the time, and that's like a couple miles. And let's say I walk to my studio and back, it's a mile away. It ain't 10,000 steps. So I don't know. I mean, I guess my phone's not always on me. I don't know how people fit that many steps in all the time, but
Yeah, and that's the message too. Like,
yeah.
yeah, you want to try the best you can, but
Yeah.
you gotta just do what you can do too. And just that's where people are like, screw it, I can't do 10,000 steps, so they do nothing. So it's like
Ah,
something,
exactly.
it's like something in between is where I'm usually trying to get people to head. Like,
Yeah, and I think that that's definitely the message. So I think I will wrap it up here because we have other things to talk about, but I think I'll save them for another one because there's because what you do is so important to living a well-lived life in a comfortable and happy way. And I know there's other topics we can talk about, and we can also ask for the listeners for some questions as well and do a live.
oh, that would be
I've
fun.
never even done a live, but this one I think may warrant for a live, a New Year's
Yes.
live.
It's
Um,
tricky to get started. That's the hardest part on the lives. But once you're in, it's fine.
yeah. Um, but thank you, Cindy, so much. And I'll say goodbye here, and then you and I can chat for a minute afterwards. And so it's Cindy Sullivan, and your what's your Instagram hashtag, which I'll also write down.
Yeah, it's just Cindy Sullivan Fitness website,
Yep,
Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all that.
highly recommend it. And they're wonderful snippets, and I'm going to look at them more often and start doing them.